What's this about you losing your Kevlar?
It bounced off my head, Sergeant Major, last night.
Bounced off your head?
I was up on the 50 cal and the Humvee went over a berm, Sergeant Major.
That Kevlar wasn't yours to lose! That was the property of this United States Marine Corps! Belonged to every Marine! Come on, fight to secure that Hendrick! You jeopardized every Marine serving today!
I was considering NJP in your office.
Sergeant Colbert! This is what happens when you don't enforce grimmer standards. The men's gets all lax, and another standard's fall. Double up here stops to use chin strap, goes over a bump, Kevlar goes flying off his head, and our protective posture is weakened.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. We now stand 10 years past the midpoint of a century that has witnessed 4 major wars among great nations. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
Bomb, 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 bomb. Anyway, when veterans are together, veterans joke.
Good evening, knowledgeable citizenry.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, live from Pittsburgh Studio Number 1, it's Cold War Radio. Here's your host, Hutch Bailey Jr.
And good evening, everyone. Glad to be here. This is one of those shows I wish I didn't have to do, but we have to be alert and knowledgeable. So here we are. Thank you for choosing Cold War Radio, the Cold War Radio patron hotline, 412-206-6208. The voicemail, 412-567-1460. Please go to steelcityresistance.com, become a Cold War Radio patron. You can catch the research room, the video 2 page that has videos of our audio clips, most of them anyway. If you'd like to write to the show, please write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 10433, 370 Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15234. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to do this by myself. Let's go to Atlanta, Georgia, and welcome Stacy Rush to the program. Good evening, Stacy.
Good evening, Hutch Bailey Jr. and Sal. It's good to be with you guys tonight.
Oh, it's going to be great. Let's go over to Sal. Sal from the western side of Allegheny County. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Stacy. Hey, Hutch. How are you guys doing tonight? I am fantastic. Everything's working how it should. Fingers crossed. And let's go.
All right. What's going on around the studio, Sal? What's up? First opening salvo.
Well, I got everything in order. The studio desk is messy, but hey, everything is in working order, and that's a big plus. But what's going on? I took a little trip in western Pennsylvania today. I am fortunate to have a little bit of time off from my main gig, which is great. And boy, did I see, I went a little bit south of the city, Hutch and Stacy, and I saw 90% plus for Trump.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
I saw a lot of Trump flags.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It really is. I mean, it's I've got a little enclave where I live right here where they're just everywhere. And my next door neighbor has that flagpole up with the lighted thing on it. It's great, man.
Now, what saddens me is in the neighborhood, I've seen a few people with some other signage up. And that's good because now I know to stay away from them.
There you go.
I'm glad they put that up because I know that they could be potentially unhinged.
I mean, you have to be. Stacy, what's going on with you? What's going on in Atlanta? The Atlanta report.
So the saddest part about being here in Atlanta is that the only signs I see are Biden signs in my neighborhood. We talked about this last week a little bit. I'm part of that highly educated, white, liberal, suburban town. But when you get outside of my white, liberal, educated, suburban town, we've got Trump all over. So I am not too concerned. Plus, I know people are like me, too. I had a Trump big magnetic sign up on something in the driveway of my house. And we invited some people over to give us some quotes on some business, and we never heard back from those people again. So it's interesting how all of this works around here. You would think in Georgia, right, that we would be like Trump 24/7. But I am constantly amazed at some of my idiot neighbors. I'm hopeful that because I just got my not a xenophobe, and I'll be wearing that around every single day when I go for a walk, that maybe I'll be able to engage some folks in conversation and change some hearts and minds.
All right. Well, just in the meantime, check your connections. It seems like you have a loose wire there or something. Just nothing major.
Okay.
Okay. I want to thank John V. I can't remember if I thanked you or not. I want to thank you for upping your game. You can do that if you're a patron, or you can drop it, whatever is necessary in your own world. But thank you, John, for doing that. Always appreciate it. I'm going to do something a little different tonight. I have some local stories I want to talk about, but I also have some stories that are much more important than that, I think. And I think we're going to go to those first because Stacy's only here till 9, and I definitely want to get her opinion on this. If you could please hold the calls until 9 o'clock. Like I said, I've got a lot of material, and I really want to get through this. It's that important. First, before we do that, we're going to go to something that Regina told me about. I think this is what she was referring to. But one of the top people, the top allies that I think the president has is Rick Grinnell. If you're not familiar with him, he is a steel-spined individual that I hope and pray is our next Secretary of Defense. But I want you to listen to the childish nature of the White House press corps. They have to do something about that. I mean, I listened to the press corps today, and it was all this about this garbage with Woodward, the questions about whether Trump took the virus seriously. It's not even, for somebody that has an ounce of intellect, it's not even worth pursuing this. And yet that's what all the questions were. And right before the show at 6 o'clock, I usually watch a little bit of the news, and I looked at the television. I know what it's going to be. Brett Baer and everybody else is going to talk about this, and I don't care about this. But this is from a couple days ago, and for those of you that understand the importance of what happened in Serbia and Croatia and that whole mess, during the Clinton administration. It's still going on, that a lot of people don't realize that. But I want you to listen to Rick Grinnell and how he deals with these morons in the White House press corps. Outstanding.
Question for Ambassador Grinnell.
Another follow-up question for Kosovo, please.
Ambassador Grinnell, clearly you were effective here as the special envoy to these talks between Serbia and Kosovo. But I wanted to ask you about another initiative you led. Last year, you kicked off the Trump administration push to decriminalize homosexuality.
Yeah, I'm going to just talk about Kosovo and Serbia. I don't know if you can find it on a map, but this is atrocious. I have to tell you guys, you might be too young to understand what this issue is about. Maybe the older journalists should step up and say, this is a big deal. This is a big issue. I'm astounded at what happens in Washington, D.C., and especially in this room. I got to tell you, get substantive. Maybe it's too complicated of an issue for you all.
Rick, respectfully, this is the first time we've had the opportunity to speak with these individuals.
Okay, but today's about Kosovo and Serbia. Let's take a little time and talk about this 21-year issue, Peter. I mean, 21-year issue. We're getting the same questions that are all politics. You guys don't understand what's happening outside of Washington, D.C. People aren't listening to you anymore. It's really a crisis in journalism. And I think it's because people are too young to understand issues like Kosovo and Serbia.
All right, can I ask
How about a substantive
deal,
question?
Please? I don't think any of us came here for a lecture about our questioning.
Well, I didn't come
but the
here
question
to
I would
not
like
talk
to
about
ask
anything
you,
about Kosovo
the
and
question
Serbia.
I would like to ask you is it accurate to say that it's full economic normalization? There was some ambiguity as to whether that is what the deal is about. And
What do you mean by full?
Well, that's the question for you.
No, it's a question for you. What's your definition of full? This is economic normalization for whatever the two parties could bring together. A whole bunch on rail, a whole bunch on water, a whole bunch on different industries.
So more accurate to say working towards economic normalization, is that fair?
No, I think it's incredible economic normalization. Air, rail, motor, opening borders, a whole bunch of industries. So, again, I don't know what's missing, and I defer to you to say what's outside of economic normalization that's not included here. You tell me.
I'm genuinely asking so that we can write our stories accurately.
Yeah.
Do we say that they have achieved an
economic
normalization deal?
Write your stories accurately. Yeah, okay. See, now, Sal, what gets me, these are 20-year-old kids in there. I don't know why they put this fresh batch of reporters. I mean, back in the day, you had Sam Donaldson in there. I mean, you had veteran reporters. These 20-year-old kids don't even have respect. This guy was the director of national intelligence, and they're talking to him that way. It's a wonder that one of these guys doesn't throw a chair at these kids.
I've come to expect that from journalists in general now. Few and far between are really actually reporting facts. And they're all after the big sound bite that's going to make everyone say, oh, look at this, oh, look at that. They just are trying to make their own path by getting sound bites. It really isn't worth it. He's on point. They aren't respected. People in Washington are in a bubble. We don't listen to them. I don't know what Congress or the Senate's rating is now, but it has to be awful darn low. I think the same rating goes for journalists because they report the same garbage that we hear from them. And it's just a pure reflection of what we're hearing from our lawmakers. And they just reverberate all the same crap. I just noticed today that there's another whistleblower report that's out there. From
of course.
I can't wait till that gets underneath the journalists. I'm using that word loosely. Noses, and they start digging in that and start blowing up that story. And yes, they don't know history all that well.
No.
And he was trying to gently tell them that they weren't getting it, and then they, acted like they're them woke selves,
Indeed. Stacy. Oh, you're muted here. Hold on. Okay.
Sorry about that. I was a little bit late on the trigger. I agree with what Sal said, but it is just a reflection of what is going on in the United States. I mean, these are young children who don't know anything, and even if they paid attention in college, they weren't taught appropriately about almost anything that has to do with the United States. And their lack of respect is just, they're no different than the people that are out there tearing up our cities with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They're children. They think that their opinion counts more than anyone else's. And they're really a detriment to our country, quite frankly.
And it's contempt for the current administration and anybody associated with the bad orange man. It's pure contempt, hate. I'll call it hate. They hate him. They will do anything to destroy him.
And they can't tell you why. He lied 10,000 times. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. I mean, the whole thing. But I agree with what you guys said. I do. I don't accept it. I think it's unacceptable, and I think that the president ought to stop it. I mean, I wouldn't continue to put Kayleigh McEnany through that. I just wouldn't. It's every single day, and it's not even worthwhile. China has just recently, in the last week, become the largest navy in the world, and we're talking to Rick Grinnell about a homosexual thing, and we're talking to the president that he didn't care enough about COVID and lied to the people. I mean, it's ridiculous. And there's something going on. I'm going to change this whole thing right now. There's something going on right now. You've seen several mentions of it in the press in different areas about what's the next step in this coup. Is the military going to be involved? And I started digging into this, and I'll tell you, we can be very glad that President Trump is the president right now, because one thing that I've learned throughout this last 3 or 4 years is that everything that I want to get to the president and make sure he knows about it, he already knows about it. This guy has got an extra sense of what's going on around him, and he's got some good people around him, but he had some really bad ones. And I just want to follow this up a little bit. A report released Monday by Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington and the Brave New Foundation. This is from 2012, by the way.
They have ethics in Washington?
Yeah. This is from 2012 from the Huffington Post, back when they hated the Army. All right? And the Brave New Foundation found that and this is a fact. I can testify about this myself. They found that 70% of retired 3- and 4-star generals took jobs with defense contractors. This is why I played the intro tonight. And consultants, a figure that has actually declined in recent years. The report found that 76 out of 108 top generals took such jobs from 2009 to 2011, and a few continued to advise the DOD while on the payroll of contractors. The report cited General James Cartwright, who was elected to a paid position on Raytheon's board of directors while serving on the Defense Policy Board. Admiral Gary Roughhead also served on the board while joining the board of Northrop Grumman, earning $115,000 a year. 80% of generals retiring from 2004 to 2008 took such jobs, according to a 2010 Boston Globe investigation. I just wanted to lay that out, to lay the groundwork for what we're going to talk about now, which is the story is by Joe Hoft at the Gateway Pundit, but I'm not as concerned with the story as I am with the backup material that I found. And you can find it on the Video 2 page in its entirety. I had to break this clip up a little bit. But is the next option the rolling coup coming from the military? Is this what the deep state has in store next? And, I always thought during the Obama administration, and I was damn sure wrong, that they would be the final arbiter if this went out of control. Back in June, we saw President Trump's Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, go against the president in a press conference. You guys remember that, when he refused to have troops assist quelling the riots in D.C. The New York Post posted in June, Mark Esper said Wednesday he opposes the use of the military to quell violence in U.S. cities, a stance that runs counter to President Trump's vow to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807 in states with uncontrolled looting. He also said a bunch of other things ForeignPolicy.com followed with a report in June saying, as protests across the United States enter their 10th day, senior U.S. military personnel have been lining up to voice their opposition to a Trump administration that has signaled its eagerness to unleash military force to put down the demonstrations. We reported at the time, President Trump and all of America held a deep regard for the U.S. military for years. This was even after the wars in Iraq and the Obama administration. Now it appears the true colors of the U.S. military are showing, and they aren't flying for America or President Trump. And it goes on to cite that one of the real signs of Obama tearing down the military was his firing of General Michael Flynn. General Flynn called out Obama and his terrible policies as he was trying to make a deal with the terrorist nation of Iran while he was shipping weapons to ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Obama then targeted General Flynn ever since, and as a result, he is still caught up in a legal battle that started with a lie and entrapment and is stuck in the courts after 2 corrupt judges and a compliant, lying media. Then Trump brought General Mattis, General Kelly, General McMaster into the White House. McMaster was so bad, he brought in Eric Ciaramella to the White House, the suspected fake whistleblower behind the unconstitutional and corrupt Ukraine impeachment. And people that have been listening to this show know that I warned him about H.R. McMaster from the beginning. They then reported how author Diana West, shared an interview with Jason Goodman at Crowdsource the Truth. I can tell you that all of these leaders are not apolitical. They either have direct ties to the Democrat machines or globalist elites or the military industrialist globalist complex. I mean, these are absolutely committed partisans who have now lent their positions and the military itself to bashing Trump in kind of a stage of the rolling coup that we've been looking at. And then the final, I'm going to stop reading here in a minute. But the final thing, this appeared to play out in August when 2 former military lieutenant colonels wrote a piece in military publication Defense One. And boy, I went into Defense One, and I got to tell you guys, man, it's a never Trump, Joe Biden publication. It's horrible. There are 5 stories on there right now that are using as a source the Atlantic lie. It's unbelievable. But dear General Milley, first of all, a lieutenant colonel is someone who couldn't make the grade. A lieutenant colonel is an officer in the Army that couldn't get past lieutenant colonel, so they were forced to retire. Keep your mind on Colonel Ralph Peters. Remember him? Same guy. They can't get past lieutenant colonel. You have to become a colonel to have made it in the officer corps, like Kurt Schlichter and others. Dear General Milley, as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, you are well aware of your duties in ordinary times to serve as principal military advisor to the President of the United States and to transmit the lawful orders of the President and Secretary of Defense to combatant commanders. In ordinary times, these duties are entirely consistent with your oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We do not live in ordinary times. The President of the United States is actively subverting our electoral system, threatening to remain in office in defiance of our Constitution. This is an Army officer saying this. In a few months' time, you may have to choose between defying a lawless president or betraying your constitutional oath. We write to assist you in thinking clearly about that choice. If Donald Trump refuses to leave office at the expiration of his constitutional term, the United States military must remove him by force, and you must give that order. Their article was outrageous to true patriots and those who love this country and President Trump. It's unbelievable. I want to tell you, I want to let the president tell you his thoughts on this.
Well, President Trump has reiterated his election push for law and order, claiming to be loved by soldiers. In a White House briefing, the president said he felt Pentagon seniors would not have felt the same way because of his success at preventing wars.
I'm not saying the military is in love with me. The soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all of those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy.
The president also floated the idea of an economic decoupling from China as trade tensions intensify. Trump praised China's spending increase in US agricultural goods before teasing a sharp financial break.
When you mention the word decouple, it's an interesting word. So we lose billions of dollars, and if we didn't do business with them, we wouldn't lose billions of dollars. It's called decoupling, so you'll start thinking about it.
Stacy, in the words of this article, this all seems too well planned. Perhaps we're seeing a military coup in the making. Perhaps the riots are just a precursor to the next coup attempt. I hate to have to do this episode. I do, but it's right there.
Yeah, and I have to say I was so surprised to kind of learn a little bit more about the officer class in our military and how much you have to play the political game, to increase your rank within the service, and that so many nowadays are going in and out, like you said, with these defense contractors. They leave the service, excuse me, and get six-figure jobs, with these contractors. And so they have, very much an instinct to kind of protect what is theirs. And I am increasingly concerned about this election. And the reason I'm increasingly concerned is because they're telling you exactly what they're going to do.
Bingo.
They're trying to prepare the public for, violence in the street. They're trying to get people to think that Donald Trump won't leave. The man will leave. I have no doubt in my mind that he would leave. If he loses fair and square, he will leave.
And he can't wait, probably. But he's going to.
People who won't leave are the resistors. They're the ones who have not gotten over this election since it happened, and I'm sick of them. And but I am concerned about this because I do feel like they are going to cause real issues in the streets. And if Donald Trump wins fair and square and we show up in droves, he is going to have to put this stuff down. And you do get concerned about what that would look like if you've got military members who refuse to participate in that.
Now, just remember, he's talking about the high echelon of military officers. He's not talking about the soldiers. What he said about the soldiers is right.
It is true. How could you dislike the man? He's rebuilt, he's rebuilt everything for them. Pay raises. He's reformed the vet. He's done so much for the military men and women, but you have to be a political animal to get to that rank. So I think that's kind of what we're dealing with.
And the thing is there's ways to get to that rank, Sal, that are other than political, but the problem is President Obama purged a lot of those officers. Flynn is one, General Carter Ham, the highest ranking United States military officer that got his commission via ROTC in the country, and others. But, I have to say that, the privates and the corporals are going to do whatever in the hell they tell them to do. It doesn't matter if they say go into Cincinnati and shoot, they're going to do that. The key lies with the staff sergeants, sergeant first class, master sergeants, first sergeants, command sergeant majors, and with the colonels that are patriotic. I still have faith in the military, but we are at a point where General Eisenhower saw it coming, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I want to get your cut first.
Well, I firmly believe that the military is not going to get involved. I'll tell you who's going to get involved. Who's going to get involved? I believe this potentially could be worse than Bush versus Gore in the courts. It could get very, very ugly depending on where the votes fall and where they come in at. I'm not worried. All the military speculation, Hutch and Stacy, I think it's just simply speculation. It's fodder for news. I don't see it ever coming into play, but that's just my take. My opinion is that we are going to see a real battle in the courts if it's close. I want to see what happens on election day. Will there be a winner declared that night? as you recall, our last election, I stayed up quite a while wondering who was actually winning. And we've all seen the videos of people just in total shock that they announced Trump as the winner. I don't know if that's going to play out this time. And whether the too close to call, I'd say let's get ready for the too close to call. And we may not know on election night who the actual winner is. And
the reason is because Michigan already told you. They're telling us what they're going to do. Michigan already told you we're not going to have the results for at least a week. And Pennsylvania will do the same thing.
And this is where the chaos is going to start. And this is where people may start running amok in the streets.
Right.
And causing trouble. And I just see it being, I hope it doesn't come true. I hope that there's enough clarity on that day and evening that we know the results. But I have my doubts.
I do too. Let me just reiterate my own personal experience with these defense contractors and these nitwits in the officer corps. And I can't speak for any service but the United States Army and the United States Marines, because that's who I served with. And I got to tell you, these people, these contractors are all, the generals are on the board of directors, but there's retired warrant officers and whatnot that are on the ground. They put contractors from every one of these major defense industries on the ground in the same building as me. I came back from work one day I usually come in through the back. I came in through the front, and there's this giant spread of corned beef and roast beef and all these cold cuts and cheese and everything and beverages. And I'm wondering, what the hell is this?
It's the trough. It's the trough for feeding.
The contractor officer in my unit was a nitwit major that didn't know shit from Shinola, and they were stroking his ego, Sal. The contractors laid that out for him because he was getting ready to make a decision on whether or not this equipment or that, whatever, you know? It's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. Now, I want you to listen to former Virginia State Senator and Judge Advocate General, that's the lawyers, JAG officer, Richard Black, believes that this may be the case. He sums it all up in the video below. You can check it at the video 2 page at steelcityresistance.com. I've broken it up because it's 11 minutes, and I want to get your commentary after each segment. Let's listen to the first one.
I'm pleased to be with you today. My topic is, do we risk a military coup? By way of background, let me just say that I'm Colonel Richard H. Black, retired. I was a career judge advocate officer and former chief of the Army Criminal Law Division, Office of the Judge Advocate General at the Pentagon. I played a key role in deploying the 7th Infantry Division to quell the 1992 LA riots. Let me give you a little background to start with. The Insurrection Act is among the most fundamental of all federal laws. First enacted in 1807, it has been used repeatedly to carry out government's most elemental responsibility, that of ensuring domestic tranquility. The preamble to the Constitution lists the task of ensuring domestic tranquility among the 5 purposes for which the Constitution of the United States was created. Nothing is more vital than protecting the physical safety of Americans. Military officials are sworn to defend the nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. On June the 4th, 2020, the prominent publication Foreign Policy published a morning brief entitled Generals Denounce Trump's Protest Crackdown Plan. The brief critiqued the president's threat to invoke the Insurrection Act and subtly disparaged its relevance as a 2-century-old law. But the law empowering the president to quell unrest using military force has been invoked 22 times since its first use in 1808. Presidents Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Ulysses Grant, Rutherford Hayes, Grover Cleveland, Woodrow Wilson, Herbert Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower, John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, and George H.W. Bush have each invoked the Insurrection Act to do such things as stop riots, enforce desegregation orders, end military disturbances, and to quell labor disputes. Defense One, a military online publication, reported that two retired lieutenant colonels, John Nagel and Paul Yingling, have written an open letter to General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, urging him to employ military force to remove the President of the United States if he does not leave office on January 20th, 2021. They wrote, if Donald Trump refuses to leave office at the expiration of his constitutional term, the United States military must remove him by force, and you must give that order. Now, it should go without saying that it is impermissible for retired officers to urge a coup to overthrow the government of the United States. And since President Trump has never hinted that he would not follow the constitutional plan for succession of power, it is doubly disturbing that their call for military insurrection is based on fanciful conjecture about what the president might or might not do under various scenarios. The idea of a military takeover has been percolating for some time. As early as August 18, 2020, Defense One had published an article by Thomas Crosby entitled 6 Scenarios for Military Intervention After January 20th.
I mean, this is a Stacy. This is bothering me. I mean, I just because of what I saw in Iraq, we even had an acronym for it, the RCRA, the RCRA, the Retired Colonels Reemployment Act. That these guys were all lining up with Raytheon and KBR and Booz Allen and all the rest of these contractors. General Eisenhower saw this coming.
And it's so disturbing that everything changes. You know, even the validity of mail-in ballots. You know, as early as 2012, I think it was, when Obama was running, everyone was like, no, can't do, we don't want to count, we don't want to do universal mail-in ballots. They were afraid at the time that the military vote might push Romney over the edge in that election. But now they completely changed their tune and are completely for it. And it's the same thing with this. It's like ignoring that the Insurrection Act is in place for a reason, has been used in the past, and they're acting as if President Trump is the first president, and that he has no responsibility to the American people and cannot use military force within the United States. And it's just so frustrating because so many people don't know anything, period, about the Constitution, about our history, and that's what they count on. That's what the leftists count on. They count on that, and they count on the mainstream media to continue to parrot their points. I'm hopeful that enough Americans are awake to see this, because the coordinated attacks as of late on Trump with the Atlantic article and the Bob Woodward book. It's so very transparent that I don't think it works any longer. I'm hopeful that that's the case, because what we have is President Trump is running against the media. He is not running against Joe Biden. And that's very clear, and it's very clearly coordinated, everything that they're doing.
It is. And Sal, the pure fact is the United States military, which is the United States of America, has not won a military conflict since World War II. This is transparent, and there are billions and billions of dollars in weapons systems and just a plethora of different things. Hell, the food service industry made billions of dollars and still is in Afghanistan. Your thoughts?
Well, let's talk about potentially another scenario. What if Trump wins and Biden makes claims of fraud and voter suppression?
And he will. And he will.
And what happens then?
Well,
do you think that there won't be any protests? Rhetorical question there.
Of course there will. Of course. But when that happens, I think this is the reason why Trump has not used the Insurrection Act, because I think the day after he wins, you're going to see a purge in the government, and it is a long time coming.
I am just concerned that at that point, then the military may have to come in, because it just might get really crazy. Because I know for sure that they're not over the last election. They're still harboring feelings for that somehow it slipped through their hands and the Russians did it and this and that. I'm just as concerned for that versus the other scenarios.
Oh, I am too.
Trump not leaving the office. I'm more concerned for that, because I think at that point there might be some mayhem in some certain cities, not widespread, but in some certain major cities where military intervention could be necessary.
I think so too, and I think it's correct. But let's watch the clock, because Stacy has to go. Let's listen to cut 2.
After discussing the rather implausible scenarios, its author stated, coups are nasty things, and discussing them in the American context is deeply distasteful. Nevertheless, facing those scenarios may help us understand the real dynamics general and flag officers will be forced to navigate in the coming months. The author appears to suggest that the generals must begin to contemplate overthrowing the president on or after January 20th, 2021, if the situation warrants doing so. Now, that lieutenant colonel's letter might be dismissed as delusional. However, other factors, including its prominent placement in Defense One, suggest that others are acting in concert to undermine the authority of the president as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. The military, quite frankly, is becoming dangerously politicized. General James Mattis is the former Secretary of Defense who resigned in 2018 in a successful effort to block the president from withdrawing troops from Syria. On June 3rd, 2020, he issued a frightening denunciation of the president. After praising the rioters for their wholesome and unifying demands, he denounced the president in scathing terms, and he said, "We are witnessing the consequences of 3 years without mature leadership." He said, "We can unite without him."
Jesus.
Drawing on the strengths inherent in our civil society. During the week of June the 7th, 2020, retired General Colin Powell led other retired military leaders in blasting the commander-in-chief. Powell praised those officers who had spoken out against the president in recent days. General Powell echoed General Mattis's denunciations of the president, saying that he agreed that Trump is the first president in his lifetime who is not trying to unite the country. As an aside, I would point out that it was General Colin Powell who famously waved a test tube mimicking sarin gas, deceitfully urging the UN to support the invasion of Iraq. His guile and deception led to the 2003 invasion of Iraq and the killing of 2 million innocent people.
I'm going to go right into the third clip and then we'll talk about it.
In a veiled swipe at the American electorate, retired Marine General John Kelly said, "I think we need to look harder at who we elect." Retired Marine Corps General John Allen arrogantly claimed Donald Trump isn't religious, he has no need for religion, and doesn't care about the devout except insofar as they serve his political needs. The declarations of these military officials appear calculated to undermine the president's authority to quell domestic disturbances by suggesting that invoking the Insurrection Act is illicit, and by downplaying widespread urban terror. These officials have placed their imprimatur on the violent criminal behavior. Article 88 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice prohibits retired officers from using contemptuous words against the President of the United States. It is difficult to justify legally many of these officers' comments. In some instances, the contemptuousness toward the President appears to violate criminal law. Taken together, the coordinated release of scathing remarks by senior officials, coupled with publication of a letter advocating a military coup, suggests a deep sickness within the Pentagon and within our constitutional structure. To my knowledge, neither the Secretary of Defense nor the service chiefs have taken action against the widely publicized talk of military insurrection. General Milley should refer the colonel's letter to the legal counsel for the Joint Chiefs to determine whether its publication violates the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Beyond that, Secretary of Defense Mark Esper has an obligation to issue a grave warning against officers both active and retired who seek to overthrow the President of the United States using armed force. Those retired officers who have published contemptuous words against the President of the United States should be issued permanent letters of reprimand cautioning against criminal violations of Article 88 UCMJ. They should be reminded that Article 88 applies to retired officers and that the law was enacted because undermining the authority of the Commander-in-Chief presents a clear and present danger to the survival of our republic. The Department of Defense must act resolutely to restore public confidence. Americans deserve assurance that our nation will not be overthrown by a military cabal.
Now, I have to tell you, I rarely use that much time on clips, but I thought it was necessary, Stacy. I think the guy eloquently presented the material. I'm a little nervous, but in the back of my mind, I keep the thought of divine intervention. President Trump is not here by happenstance. We're at a real critical time in our history, and I'm relieved that he's the guy at the helm. And I don't know if I would have said that 3 years ago, but I'm saying it now.
And I would agree with you. I probably wouldn't have said that. But I will tell you what I wanted to say after he finished was, can I get an amen? And I'm not even kidding.
I know.
Because that is so right and true. And it's so frustrating to me that this is our military now and that you think your opinion matters. There's a reason there's a chain of command. There's a reason that you shouldn't be speaking out against the current leader. And from what I can best tell, Republicans tend to stick by that, and Democrats do not. And you look at what Kerry has done during the the presidency of Trump. I mean, it's disgusting. And quite frankly, we need to start reprimanding these people. These people need to be held accountable. And I could not agree with the JAG retiree who you were just playing, because I think he's exactly right. And if we don't start holding these people accountable, we're going to continue to see this kind of lawlessness even throughout our military. And it's something that I never thought that I would live to see. I never thought that I would see anyone publish something like that, calling for essentially a military coup of our president.
I know, and in my profile on Twitter, for what that's worth, not very much, but the first line is U.S. military advocate. That's what I call myself, because I am. I do advocate for the military, but I've seen these nitwits, and I've seen the communist at West Point that graduated, and I saw Sal, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, an absolute amoeba of a military officer, stand in front of Congress in his dress uniform that he never wore to work and lie. And now there's more stories coming out that a lot of this Vindman started. We've got to do something about this. I mean, these people, they never get prosecuted. Nothing ever happens. The guy's name, I had to scroll all the way down to the end because I didn't know how I was going to do this, but former Virginia State Senator and Judge Advocate General Richard Black. Only a lawyer would use the word imperpeture or whatever the hell that word was. Go ahead, Sal.
Well, I think it comes down to a lot of people thinking that they're, that they know better than everybody else.
Exactly.
And they don't want to follow the orders. And Stacy nailed it, is that there's a chain of command for a reason. And you know this as well, Hutch.
And yes, I do.
There's a reason why that the president is the commander-in-chief. And whether you want to agree with him or not, he's the commander-in-chief. The buck stops there. He's it. And the other thing that I believe these people lose sight is they lose sight of the fellow men and women all in this country. It's not just about their opinion. It's not just someone about the left's opinion or the right's opinion. It's to protect our country from enemies, both foreign and domestic. And those people spouting these opinions, I believe, have really lost sight of their mission.
They have. And I will add as well that there is an out for a military officer, and that is if the order is unlawful. You're required to follow all lawful orders. And so far, I mean, the JAG officer laid it out. The president, first of all, he never even issued the orders, but if he had, they would be lawful. He laid that out in the previous use of the Insurrection Act, which wasn't always popular, or I would even opine constitutional in some areas. Some of those uses of the Insurrection Act were, for instance, Herbert Hoover using it for the bonus army after World War I, in between the two world wars. But that's for another episode. But I just, again, I don't want to use the word apologize because I'm not sorry. But I know you guys want to get in here and talk, and that was a lot of clip. So, Stacy, I'll just give you the mic. What do you feel about this? And if you have any other issues, I know you don't have much time. But I wanted to cover this. I just feel it's too important.
I think it's important too. It's extremely important, and I'm glad that you did. And it's just, again, like I can't tell you how much it upsets me hearing all of this, from a military perspective. It's like I'm living in a foreign country, and it's so frustrating because everything they accuse Trump or Republicans of, it's actually what they are guilty of doing. And I am just really hopeful that people have woken up enough to understand this. I mean, I've gotten to a point today, Hutch, with the Bob Woodward book that I just laugh about it. I mean, I literally am just like, You know, you guys are so
How stupid
desperate.
are you? How dumb are you? Do you think and the part that's scary is these kids, and that's what they are. And even ABC's John Carl, which I would love to see someday, they think people care about this stuff. You know, people are worried about getting their kids in school, man. They're not worried about this. And I even heard a good meme today that I don't want to let you get away without me saying it. They were talking about this whole Woodward story, and somebody on Twitter, I don't know who it was, but they called them the Branch Covidians. I love that. I heard that. I was like, yep, that's them.
Oh my God. And I just, you know, the thing is that you would think at this point that they would be better at what they're doing, you know, but this Cohen book, you know, Woodward book, Trump said this, you know, our military men and women are losers. I mean, it's back to back to back to back. I mean, the desperation is showing, and it has to be in the polls. I mean, Biden's internal polls must be terrible. The man is not able to campaign while Trump is out there hitting all the swing states. Thousands of people are showing up, and you can't get 6 people to attend an event with Joe Biden. I just cannot believe that Donald Trump is not going to win by enough that that it's going to make overturning this election extremely difficult for the Democrats.
I agree. I do. But I just think, I mean, I was at the diner tonight, and I got to tell you, I started going out for dinner again, Stacy, and I'm in a slave state, man. You know, I'm serious. And I was in this diner in the middle of the city, and an older couple walked in, and they had Trump 2020 masks on, man. And this was after the stuff that happened downtown and everything. I think I agree with you. I think that on November 3rd, and what I'm probably going to do, I'm probably going to vote in the morning, and then I'm going to Camp freaking Vienna. I don't think I'm going to stay here and watch this. And in the next hour, I have some things to talk about that local stuff. But I wanted to get this subject out there because it just. I started looking at it yesterday, and today I was like, I had to make a decision. Am I going to use this whole hour? Because I'd rather talk to you guys. But I didn't want to read, and I came across that clip, and I'm like, this guy nailed it. These guys ought to be prosecuted.
And it's important for people to understand what's at stake in this election. And it's really important that we get out. And guys, I mean, you would be surprised at how many people are not registered to vote or not registered to vote at their current address. You need to be asking every person that you come across if they're registered to vote at their current address.
And give them a ride. Give them a ride.
Yes, Stacy, I received my neighbor's mail-in ballots in the mail.
Hold on to them.
Use those?
Yeah, hold on to them. We might have to play this game too. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I know. It's insane, but seriously, we've got to be engaging with our neighbors, our friends. It's time to stop being afraid, for lack of a better term, to talk about your political beliefs with your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors. This election is too important. And so you just need to arm yourself with some facts. You need to arm yourself with good humor and good cheer, and be able to explain things in a cogent way to people about how important this election is. And just point out, you know, Joe Biden's history and his record, and Kamala Harris's liberal record, and, you know, the support for this lawlessness, and telling you that the only way that this goes away is if you elect Biden. No, it does not, because they have lost control of this movement. This movement isn't about getting Joe Biden elected.
No, we're going to have to deal with it.
Is about tearing down America. And if Joe Biden wins, they're just going to be emboldened to keep this up.
That's a fact. Stacy, thanks for coming. I can't wait till next Wednesday. How can people get in touch with you?
Thanks, guys, for having me. You guys can most easily reach me at Twitter and Parler, Discovering Me 40. And I will talk to you guys next week. And Hutch, we need to have a show on election night like we did.
All right, we might have to do that.
Ago. We should do that.
that is fun. That might take longer than 2 hours, but you're right.
Yeah.
And we'll think about that. All right, thank you, Stacy.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a good week.
All right, you too. All right, so there's that. Sal, I want to get into a couple other things like I normally do at the top of the show. I want to kind of talk about the incident that happened downtown. I got a Facebook message right before, I got 2 of them right before the show from people I haven't heard from for a long time. One, and I'm not going to name them, but one was a couple that owns a restaurant on the East End, and they were firm backers of Steel City Resistance when we first started it. I don't think they listened to Bird's Eye View, but they did listen to Steel City Resistance, and that started in 2010. And I even went to this restaurant a couple times. Great place. I'm not going to say where it is, but I got a message from the female side of this couple. I had messaged, well, let's just go with what I got. And they got attacked. This restaurant that I know in the East End got attacked as, I'm not even going to say that because it'll give their location, but, and she was very scared when she messaged me. And that hit me pretty hard, man. It just, I look at this and you've got a dichotomy. You've got Black Lives Matter types in the black community, and leftists, Marxists, people that don't even know how to spell Marxism, but there it is. And you've got what Stacy said was in her neighborhood. You've got white liberals with money that are together on the street. And to me, they're the same. To me, every one of them is as guilty as the other one. I don't care what color you are. If you're in that street doing this, you are uncivilized, in my opinion. And I look back on our history, which a lot of those people don't even have a clue about. And I'm in the process right now of reading a great book by Robert Spencer called Rating America's Presidents. And reading that book, and I highly suggest to every listener, this book will give you insights on the real history of the United States through the presidents. And we've been through these things before. This isn't the first time that we had a group of people within our nation that couldn't get along and live civilly with everybody else. And this is not a racial distinction. As I illustrated, the group in the streets is not defined by their race. It's defined by their ignorance of history, for one, and their ideology. And we've dealt with this before. Andrew Jackson dealt with it. And at the time, as I'm reading this analysis, I realized that the history I was taught recently, not in school, I didn't learn a whole lot about Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson, in school. But if you look at Andrew Jackson, he is probably most well known for the Trail of Tears and moving the Indian nations westward. And a lot of them died on this Trail of Tears, not because of anything the U.S. government did, but because of maybe the U.S. government didn't take enough precautions to make sure they would arrive safely. But he is probably, and I'm only up to about James Harrison, so there might be additional things I learn as I go. But so far, Andrew Jackson is probably the closest president to President Trump that we've had. I mean, he's one of the outsiders that came in, the first guy that ever the first guy that ever paid off our national debt, the first and only president that ever did that. But he dealt with these people that would not conform to civility, to rules of civil society. Everybody thinks that we just murdered these people, and that's not true history. They were murdering us, and we had to get have come up with a solution that would not happen any longer. So we moved them away from us. And then you look at the Black Lives Matter situation, and something that I also learned in this book that I did not know, that I was not taught, that happened. The Civil War started in 1865, I believe, 64 or 65. In the 1820s, James Monroe was president. And James Monroe was a slave-holding Virginian by birth. That's what his family did. He didn't ask for it, but there it was. But he was a member of the Colonization Society, which was a society that wanted to free all slaves in the 1820s. And they came up with a deal with West Africa. They wanted to repatriate them to West Africa. So they ended up with a treaty or whatever with Liberia, whose capital is named after President Monroe, Monrovia, and gave the opportunity. He wanted to free all slaves and repatriate them to West Africa. To all of the race-baiting, Black Lives Matter historical figures in America today, if you want to blame somebody, blame your ancestors, because they did not want to leave the United States. They thought that your life would be better if you stayed here. So that whole concept kind of was shot because their families saw the light. So I just wanted to put that out there. There's a lot of things going on, and man, if we allow, we've already lost one generation. They're in the streets right now, and we're in the middle of losing the next generation because they're teaching your and my kids right now fake history, and it's got to stop.
Well, let's start off with the local part of this, Hutch, and what happened here in Pittsburgh. And I think right now downtown Pittsburgh is in a bit of what I would call damage control. This hit the national news.
They're dead.
And I really think that a lot of people are going to actively avoid downtown. Not that it was some place to really go, but before the virus, I thought the downtown was having a bit of resurgence with the restaurants. The food scene was getting better. Despite the bike lanes and all the other nonsense downtown, it was a place to go. However, in the Tribune Review, that seems like today there's an article and they're starting to do damage control.
Well,
here's part of the article. I'll keep it brief. The actions of protesters Saturday on Penn Avenue in downtown Pittsburgh were a, quote, an isolated incident. According to Pittsburgh's Downtown Partnership president, Jerry Waldrop, said Wednesday, "We welcome protests and we understand the needs for folks to get out during these times and demand change," he said, while adding that the public conflicts on Saturday were not indicative of what's happened in the city this summer. Huh?
I got to tell you, I got to break in and tell you. Let me just make a statement for the record. I am never going to downtown Pittsburgh again in my entire life. I am not going to the Federal Building. I'm not going to any. And I got to tell you, I watched Willie Mays. I watched Roberto Clemente. I watched Bill Mays. I watched everybody. I watched Hank Aaron. When I was a kid and went down there on the bus, I got my baseball mitt robbed off me by some nasty prick on the north side. And it was okay. I went back the next day. I'm never going back there again. Pittsburgh is going to be little Detroit. People aren't going to go there again, man. I'm telling you, it's over. By that one incident, you mark my words, those buildings are going to be empty soon. Sorry.
Yeah, and the president visited Beaver County today. I don't know if you know that or not. If
the vice president
knows that.
The vice
president, excuse me, Mike Pence, the vice president, visited Beaver County. That's a little north of Pittsburgh. And he quoted, "Frankly, the people of Pittsburgh ought to be able to sit at an outdoor restaurant or go to McDonald's without being harassed."
Indeed.
Pence said, Folks, it's got to stop. We're going to have law and order in every city in this country for every American of race and creed and color. So help us God.
I'll tell you, that couple that sat there probably voted for Peduto, probably were going to vote for Biden. These people are ridiculous. These are Biden supporters in the street, Peduto supporters, Fitzgerald supporters. You guys are ruining the city. Was already shot. You can't go down there without spending $20 to park, unless you're like me and you know where the alleys are. But other than that, the average person is going to pay out their nose to park. And the food is expensive, and there's panhandlers everywhere. I'm telling you, man, this is a death knell for that downtown area.
Yeah, one more thing, and let's just keep it objective to get both sides of this. Protesters have said the videos only showed one side of the confrontations.
Yeah.
They said cyclists instigated the scuffles, and some outdoor diners shouted obscenities and racial taunts.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that?
That is the biggest bunch of crap.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? An incident on a football field last year with a certain player and another player claiming that obscenities were screamed.
Exactly.
When there was never any proof.
That doesn't work anymore. That couple, the bike guy, I don't care about him. He's probably looking for the recruiting station for Antifa. I don't care about that guy. But the older couple, that is Pittsburgh. And that's something that's unacceptable, and there should have been security there. It's almost like it was a setup. It's almost like, hey, if you guys have money, want to come down and eat, come down here and eat. And then they bring this mob down the street. I saw a tweet from the Double Wide Grill on the south side. Hey, come down and join our fine dining on the patio. And I retweeted, yeah, right. You got to be out of your mind. Let's go to Marlene in Eugene, Oregon. The phones are open, folks. I appreciate you holding off. Go ahead, Marlene.
Hello. Hey there. I just wanted to let you know I'm reading that same book, the one about the presidents, and I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
It's a great book. It is.
Fantastic. Oh, it's great. But I wanted to give, main reason I called, though, is I wanted to let people know, because this is sort of my unofficial family, sort of, kind of.
Nice.
Well, it's true. But anyway, you probably know, if you've seen on the news, that between Oregon and Washington and California, we're basically burning up.
I saw that. I didn't realize it was over that far, but apparently it is.
Yes, and I put an interactive map further down in the chat that if people want to click on it, they can see where all these fires are in Oregon. And if you look for say if you want to look at it later, go look for Eugene, and then you go just start inching over east, and you'll see how close that damn fire is to us. It's not that far away.
Rocky, do me a favor and email me that so I can put it on my website. But go ahead, Marlene.
Okay. But anyway, what's going on is for the last couple days, started late Monday night, all day yesterday, all day today. The main fires that are affecting us are the ones that are just east of me, with a half hour, 45 minutes going east up the Mackenzie River.
Can you see the glow in the sky?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I have pictures on the other chat room. You look at the sun, and the sun is not the sun. It's this orangey red ball. That's all it is. Yeah. And what's going on in Eugene is there's all this, a lot of smoke. The air quality is pretty bad. And there's ash that's falling all over everybody, on their cars, on whatever. It's kind of like St. Helens, but this is a little worse. And these fires were started due to down power lines, high winds, and almost no humidity. And the temperatures are kind of warm around here, too. However, the Mapleton fire, that was arson. That's over toward the coast, and that was started by an arson. And I think John V mentioned something to me about he thought there might have been somebody involved in Antifa, and I thought, hey, maybe, we don't know. But I wanted to let people know that my husband and I are doing fine. I've been praying for other people that are farther away, even John. Because I mean, he lives in Springfield. I know kind of where he lives, but you know, I was worried. I see this. They've been blasting our cell phones with notices. You know, they're telling people in that, you know, East Springfield heading up. In other words, the closer you get toward the McKenzie River, going up 126, they were telling people, you know, evacuate. They blasted on your cell phone, you know, to get out of there. You know, they say level 3, leave now.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, but thank God we are not where we are in South Eugene. We haven't been hit, although we have had a lot of this smoggy, hazy stuff. Because if you look at the area where we are, the Willamette Valley, we're surrounded pretty much by mountains. And so when anything happens like this, it just stagnates.
Right. Well, as long as you have a plan, I mean, I think, you know, the people that live in areas like yours, you have probably a robust fire service. A lot of the people.
We actually do. However, they are bringing in, I think John mentioned something. They were bringing in people from the National Guard. We've got like 3,000 and some firefighters. But
right.
In general, yes, we do. Even here in Eugene, our firefighters are great people.
And I know there's people all over. From being in the fire service in a rural community, we even sent people to California. I mean, there's people from all over the country that'll come help.
Oh, yeah. Same thing here. We get people from, like from Idaho or Utah. They come over here, no problem. Or up from Northern California, no problem at all. We do the same thing.
Right. Well, like I said, make sure you have a plan to get out of there, for one thing. That's always critical in something like this. But I appreciate the news, man. Anything else on your mind?
Oh, goodness. Well, I did mention, on a little happier note, I did listen to Trump's rally in North Carolina last night. It was fantastic.
Come on, that was not a rally. That was a peaceful protest.
Oh, I know. I saw the signs. It said peaceful protest.
Hey, you know, the governor of Nevada said that they can't have it because of his Branch Covidian rules. Well, guess what, man? You can have a protest anytime you want. So anyway. Hey,
I know. It's just stupid.
Thanks for calling, Marlene. People are starting to pile in. All right, where are we going? We're going to Rocky in California. My man, it's probably like got fire everywhere. What's going on, Rock?
Oh, no. Put me on the spot now. I was having fun listening.
What'd you think about the subject matter of this evening, man? I mean, it's pretty. I'm sure you probably saw some of that. Maybe not. I mean, sometimes you have to have a little rank to get in those kind of meetings. But I could spend an entire 2 hours on the stuff, man. I really could.
I did, and yeah, I could actually. Oh my God! Yeah, you don't want to give me license to talk about that stuff because I'll talk about Sasquatch for hours, and how you know California really needs to realize what they're dealing with the firefighting situation. And it's super stupid. But, you know, my grandfather majored in land management. I was like, wait a minute. That's some hippy-dippy bullshit that goes on in California. I was like, nope. That was Washington State.
So what caused you to, what did you call for, man? I know you probably had a reason. What's on your mind?
I dared Marlene to call in. And that's why I called her.
All right. So, you good, man? I mean, thanks for calling, brother.
I know. Well, I dared Marlene to call in, and that was it. Pretty much. if you want me to pontificate about something, ask me a question. But
I just wondered what you thought of the whole idea of the military. That is something that's gravely important, man. It's something, and you have personal experience with that, and I just
okay. You want me to talk about the military? Okay. So we have 10%. And I don't care what 10% of anything is. 10% of people are douchebags.
Yeah, they are, no doubt.
And they are in the military.
They are, and have high rank.
And it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're. I don't care if you're a Navy SEAL. 10% of the dudes you work with are
scumbags, man. They're scumbags.
Lowest 10%. I'm trying to be polite, but yes, that applies to police officers. That applies to.
It does. That's a good
anybody.
Point. That's a good
anybody.
point. One of the things that always got me was one argument that I can't stand, and I have to see it almost every day when I drive around, and that is the whole idea of homeless veterans. I see these people, and you look at them, and they're scumbags. They are the people that could not conform. They did a year or two in some service somewhere at some base,
that angers me.
And they're freaking. They're doing.
They didn't even make it through boot camp.
Right. And they were losers then. They came in the military, got a set of fatigues, and they're still wearing those same set of fatigues out there begging for money, blaming it on the military. And to me, those people can kiss my ass, but that's just me. That's just me.
Well, I agree. And, they kiss my ass too.
All right, man. How's the chat room doing? Everybody acting right, man? We doing good in there? We got good feedback and whatnot? Because I can't stay up on it.
I got the phone up to my head, so I can't. I can't.
No, I meant in general. In general, not right now.
Oh, in general, it's great.
All right.
Yeah, we had, there was like a couple days ago, we had 22 people that came in, and this is during the live show.
Good deal, good deal.
Like 22 people liked it, so it was like, well, that's a good deal.
All right, Rocky, thanks for calling. They're starting to pile up behind you, man. Appreciate your work.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, let's go to Sean in California. Sean, you're up next, man. What's going on?
Hey, Hutch and everybody. How you all doing? I got some news, and we're all probably not going to like it, but hey, this is California. It sucks here. So in 25 days from now, we're going to have all mail-in ballots in the state of California.
So there's another state that we're going to be waiting another week for. So what we're going to be is we're going to have Donald Trump winning an electoral freaking landslide, and how the Trump administration deals with that. And I hope it's with math, because that's how you win this, is with math. You take all the eligible voters and you figure out how many eligible voters are there in California, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and what other slave states there are. And you break it down and say there's no way that any votes that are eligible in those states can overcome this number. Boom, story's over. Donald Trump's the president. Your thoughts? I mean,
what I'm trying to figure out right now is if I can just deliver it in person or sign it there and put it in there at the polling station.
Well,
I'm not sure.
The thing is,
you can't right now.
You can't do that at the state level. Balloting is controlled by the county. So I don't know how many counties are in California. There's 67 in Pennsylvania, I think. I don't want to be Obama.
There's a lot of counties.
Well, but each county is responsible for their own. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Sal, is that the way it is in the whole country? I think it is.
As far as county elections, yeah.
As far as national elections, they're run by the county.
Well, they're
right?
still run by the board of. They're still run by the county election. There's no. Yes, that's how they. It doesn't national election doesn't matter if it's a state election. It's still run by the election officials of that county.
Now, when it rolls up, the deciding official is the Secretary of State of the state. I remember that from the Al Gore BS down in Florida, because Pam Bondi, thank God, was the Secretary of State down there.
Yeah,
So-
and Sean,
Secretary of State.
what Sean's referring to is there's going to be within no later than 29 days prior to the election, a mail-in ballot will be sent to all eligible voters.
In California, man, that's sick.
It pisses me off. It sucks here, but
It
you know,
should.
our Secretary of State is also a Democrat. He's a commie, so
Of course he is.
you know,
Soros probably funded him.
probably it wouldn't surprise me. And you know, this is really irritating. But sooner or later, California needs to make a decision on whether or not, you know, this is what I hate to say, but it's true.
Well, here's
we
something
may have
that's
to go in.
Well,
and
here's something
remove
more
these
than
people.
interesting. Hey, Sean, here's something that's even more interesting, Sean and Hutch. Get this. If you're returning by ballot by mail, it must be postmarked on or before Election Day and received by your county elections office no later than 17 days after Election Day.
Oh, my God, man. See, they're setting us up.
Oh.
This is a setup. It is. It's a setup. They're telling you, ladies and gentlemen, they are telling you.
You mean to
what they're
tell
gonna
me
do.
it takes a piece of mail to get 17 days somewhere?
We have to reject it. It has to be rejected on November 3rd. Go to the polls, folks. Go to the polls. I mean, what are they telling you, Sean, that you can't go to the polls? Or is this just an
From the looks
option?
of it, yes, because they said from the governor, the communist Adolf Hitler Newsom governor says you can't go in person because of the coronavirus. And I'm like, are you freaking serious? Everywhere else
they're
it's
serious,
open.
man.
DMV, open. All of these other places, open. Post office, open. What the hell? You're telling
Jim.
me I can't go mail? I mean, vote in by person?
Government gyms are open, but private gyms are closed. Yeah, it's something that we're going to have to deal with. And again, I'm not a Bible-thumping individual, but I believe in God, and I believe
Same here.
I believe in divine intervention, and I believe that President Donald J. Trump was not put in front of us by accident. That being said,
That is correct.
That being said, divine intervention by itself doesn't work that way. The Lord is saying, here's your shot, man. What are you guys going to do with it? That's what he's
true.
doing. So now it's our turn. Now it's our turn to stand with that. Because we know there is evil, and that is the left. And when I say the left, I mean politicians that are in office, politicians that are in the media, politicians that are everywhere in sports. Like I told Sal, I'm never going downtown again. You will never see me at another Black Lives Matter football game, another Black Lives Matter baseball game, or at another Black Lives Matter restaurant. You people can kiss my ass. I'm not coming back anymore. And as soon as my wife
agree.
retires, I'm the hell out of here. In a couple years, I mean, I might be out of here before that, but we still have to earn a living. But I've had enough of this. I can't stand these people I live around. And I'm not talking about the people that I live immediately around. I'm talking about the idiots like that old white couple that sat in that restaurant that voted all these idiots in. Because I guarantee they did. I guarantee they did. And I can't wait until these thugs start marching up streets in Shadyside and Squirrel Hill. I can't wait for that. And Mount Lebanon, I can't wait. Because you people deserve what you get. And the same goes for California. Sean, thanks for calling, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem. Peace out, guys.
All right, let's go to Ken and King George. Man, what's going on, brother? What's going on in the Commonwealth of Virginia, home of President Madison and Monroe?
Yeah, and we're not too far from the gravesite of Chesky Fuller either.
There you go. What did you think about the reporting on? And I know you're a government contractor, so I wasn't talking about people that work for contractors. I'm talking about the people that own and control the businesses. But go ahead.
Oh no, I've seen it. But I mean, when I worked for Northrop Grumman, the guy that as soon as he retired as a captain from the training center, boom, he's got some big shot 6-figure job working for Northrop Grumman.
Oh, I saw it too, man. I saw it too.
So, or they go out and because I guess they can't do it immediately, but
they do. They do. They don't wait that 6 months. They don't wait. They're supposed to wait 6 months.
Create their own. They'll create their own small business, recruit a bunch of people that know a specific skill set, and because they know all the avenues to go in and bid on certain contracts. And if you
let me tell you something. We got plenty of time, so I'm not going to snatch your time. I'm not going to reclaim your time. But listen, I was a supervisory equipment specialist, and what I did for the Army Reserve is I was the boss of 16 full-time Army maintenance facilities, all the way from Erie, Pennsylvania, down to Charleston, West Virginia. I had 16 shops. And no, I didn't. I had 6 shops. I'm sorry, 6 shops. I had 5 area maintenance support activities and 1 equipment concentration site. And USARC, which is the head of the U.S. Army Reserve, was in Atlanta, and then they moved to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And I went to Iraq with a command, a big command. And my command had about 350 people in it. And half of my unit was controlled by the SPO, the support operations officer. He was a full bird colonel. And so we went through whatever we did, and then we came back and we demobilized. And within 2 weeks of me demobilizing, I got a call from this guy that was our SPO, this full bird colonel scumbag. And he called me up. And he said, "Hey, Chief, how you doing?" Da, 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 da. He knew I was an SES. And he said, "Can I get you to send me the map of where all your shops are?" And I said, "Absolutely, sir. Look for it. I'll send it to your email." And I hung the phone up, and that dude never heard from me again. He was the vice president already of a company that was trying to do the maintenance for all the people that worked for me. 250 people worked for me. But they were dual status. They had to be in the Army to have a job working for me. So if the balloon ever went up, we could send people that knew how to work on the equipment with the units. Unbelievable, man. I mean, I could tell you 100 more stories, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, my dad was in the reserve at CD, and
that's a construction battalion for you guys that don't know. Were you knocking shit over?
No, he was actually an equipment operator. So he was actually with MCB 21 there in Harrisburg, and won a whole lot.
I knew those guys. They used to get equipment from us. They used to get D7s and D8s from us. Yeah, at Fort Indian Town Gap.
What? He didn't do a whole lot of stuff. They ended up doing a lot of drills over in Mechanicsburg quite a bit.
Right, we were there too.
But oh yeah, it was great when I was a kid, man. Cause they had a bowling alley, and
there you go.
And one of the guys that he was stationed with, he'd bring his son, and yeah, we basically roamed the Mechanicsburg base go bowling. They had racquetball course. They had all kinds of stuff there, as far as MWR was concerned. But they didn't have a whole lot for him to do as an equipment operator other than, oh, yeah, hey, we need, can you drag this pallet pallet over here on a forklift, or, oh, we need some more drywall over here. So he ended up, instead of sitting around on his ass, learned how to do drywall from the builders and stuff. He can do some electrical, not good as I am, but anyways, yeah, he stayed in long enough to make East 7, right?
Right.
And he was talking about, and that took him quite a while because in the reserves, EOs really don't advance too quick. But he was like, yeah, I was looking to stay until I made senior chief, and then, but even the chief's mess became so damn political even back then.
Yeah. And that's basically the theme of the show tonight. I mean, this is something where the president can make a change, but he's going to have to do a purge. First, he has to win. He has to win first, and I believe that's the reason that he did not enact the Insurrection Act yet, because once that happens, it's on. I mean, once that happens, you're going to see violence in the street. You're going to see upheavals in the military, and it is about time. These people, one of the things that predicates a commission in the United States military is integrity. And we've lost all that. It's gone. It's gone. These people are all about the money. I mean, you could look at the people that we mentioned tonight: Colin Powell, H.R. McMaster, Mattis, Kelly. You can look at all of them, and all of them are making money from the military-industrial complex. All of them. And it gets worse when you go down below those guys. I mean, this is something that we keep, and that's one of the reasons I brought the JAG officer on, because if you've ever been in the military, the one person that's hated more than the military police by the rank and file is the lawyers. But they're the ones that clarify things. Am I right?
Oh, I've had to talk to a JAG officer one time in my life because my buddy and I were at my mom and dad's place in Middletown. We were heading, we went down there for the weekend. We were heading back to the sub base in Groton.
Freaking
brakes went out in his car. Got into a car accident just outside of Allentown. I ended up cracking my skull. We totaled the car. Nice 6.6 Mustang coupe, but spent a night in the hospital. End up back on the sub base. Well, they had no idea what they were going to do with me, what they were going to do with Neil, because he broke his wrist. But anyways, I don't know, 2-3 months later, after you kind of forget, everything gets a little fuzzy. Now they bring in the JAG officer.
Oh, yeah.
But I distinctly remember like 90% of my actions when this thing went down, right? And you could tell that this guy was not a car guy.
And not your friend.
Because, what's that?
And not your friend.
Oh, no, because he's looking at me. He's like, so how'd this? I was like, all right, well, we were, heading back to the base. It was the end of the weekend, because by the time they finally reported that we'd gotten this accident. Now this happened like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon because it was a 6-hour trip back to Groton. Well, it didn't get back up to Groton until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So they're under the assumption that we're driving back in the middle of the night, which we weren't. So the guy was like, well, why were you driving back so late? I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? We left my mom and dad's house at like 2 p.m. because it's a 6-hour trip.
Did you ever get the idea when you were talking to this guy that he was stupid? Because that's the idea that every time I dealt with a JAG officer, it's like, no, look, you didn't listen to what I just freaking told you.
Well, and he was like, so what transpired after that? I was like, well, we were kind of gaining speed on this car in front of us, and I'm the passenger, and I'm looking over, I'm like, the first place I look, if you're riding along with somebody and they're not stopping, where's the first place you're going to look? The brake pedal, right?
Right.
And I'm looking, and Neil's got both feet on the brake pedal. It was an automatic, and we are not slowing down. And I'm like, this is not going to be good. And the guy looks at me, this officer looks at me and goes, well, why were you looking at the brake pedal? Are you that much of a fucking moron?
Yeah, they are. All right, like, Ken. I'll just leave you with the knowledge that Lindsey Graham is a JAG officer. That's just...
I already know. Yeah, it shows.
It does. Thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for waiting. Thanks for waiting.
Love the show.
Thank you, and thanks for waiting. All right, that was Ken. All right, Sal, I got to get into something. We got to go upbeat for the end of the show here. An interesting article in the Miami Herald highlights increased support within the Miami-Dade Latino community for President Trump's reelection. The article is based around a local poll conducted September 1st through the 4th and notes that 2/3 of Spanish-speaking respondents support President Trump. This is an important statistical development within Florida, as the current ground reporting indicates President Trump has actually gained significant support since 2016 in the Miami-Dade community. Democrats need to depend on Joe Biden running up the vote total in Miami-Dade County because the rest of the state is more favorable to Trump. Hillary Clinton won Florida Latinos by 27 points. Currently, Joe Biden is only leading by 16. One important factor, though, for Florida is the number of Puerto Rican residents that came in to the state after Hurricane Maria, and many still remain. Puerto Ricans skew heavily toward the dependency left outlook. Just look at New York City. However, the scale of corruption in the aftermath of Maria has revealed that the consistent outcome of socialist government. This is a good deal because I'm sure you remember the hanging chads and whatnot in Miami-Dade County.
Well, Florida is very important to the reelection of President Trump, and I bet we're going to see both of them, meaning both of the candidates down in Florida, a good bit. It is definitely a big battleground state. I think we'll definitely see also Pence and Trump here in Pennsylvania a good bit, since, again, this is a battleground state, and I believe you're going to see Trump up here for Sean Parnell again at some point.
I saw, my camp up in Camp Vienna, you know where it is pretty much. I'm not going to give that up, but I saw a campaign sign for Sean Parnell way up there.
Well, I don't think his district is comprised of up there, but yes, I believe that Florida is very, very important, and it will be a telltale sign of what the election will be like. And despite the media telling you that minorities support Biden, I'm not calling people from Florida minorities, but those Spanish-speaking voters, despite them perhaps liking the, what the article says, they tend to lean more towards the left.
They're parasites, man. They're parasites.
Yeah, but
these
also,
are people that come from countries that the government gives you stuff.
Yeah, but also one other thing, Hutch, is that these people, if you look at it just from a religious standpoint, a lot of them are strict Catholics.
Oh, indeed,
And
if
they take a look at that one simple issue of abortion, there's no way that you could for Biden Harris. You can't. You couldn't.
There's an interesting story out. The other day, the Navy said that they were going to stop contracting. I forget where this was, but whatever area it was in, they were going to quit contracting with the local Catholic clergy and just let whoever was in the Navy that was Catholic go out into the local economy if they wanted to go to church. And President Trump came out and said, the Navy will not stop contracting with these. And it all goes to the theme of tonight's show, man. The president knows he's the commander-in-chief. And these deep state people, I should have just said what I felt because the explicit tag has already been initiated. But President Trump's the boss, whether you like it or not, man. I mean, if you're in the military.
Yeah, he's the commander-in-chief.
That's right.
As long as it's a lawful order, you have to follow it.
Right. And
you have to put your personal feelings aside.
Exactly. And that's not happening. And we will be the knowledgeable and alert populace that General Eisenhower talked about. And I'm just going to run through that again because at the beginning of the program, a lot of people get aced out by the commercial that Spreaker plays. So I want you to hear General Eisenhower, then President Eisenhower, one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. We now stand 10 years past the midpoint of a century that has witnessed 4 major wars among great nations. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development. Yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
Bomb, 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 bomb. Anyway, when veterans are together, veterans joke.
So the alert and knowledgeable citizenry is on the phone. Let's go to Ralph in Missouri. The Navy, maybe short of the Air Force, one of the biggest offenders in this area because the contracts are so big. Ralph, what's on your mind?
Well, I'll give you a hodgepodge of Navy stuff. First off, the Chief of Naval Operations here a couple weeks ago let it out that, and it wasn't any secret, that there was an individual on board the Bonhomme Richard that was being questioned by NCIS in regards to arson.
Wow.
Suspect.
Wow.
Now, nobody's mentioned names or whatever.
They never do. They never do.
We'll see.
I know.
The second thing.
Good.
Go ahead. The second thing is that Northrop Grumman has been awarded a $13 billion contract.
$13 billion.
Yeah, well, it's a little over $13 billion, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
ICBMs.
ICBMs, yeah, okay, yeah, and you know,
we got.
And in theory, that's probably a good thing. It's a good thing.
Well, yeah, because the Minuteman 3Gs have been around since the 70s.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
Boeing built those, and we only paid, it's like $7 million a pop, and you can do the math about what it's going to cost to replace every land-based missile we got.
You know, one of the things, Ralph, that really reinforced my already solid feelings about this was when the president got them to cut the price on Air Force One by like 300% or something. I mean, he dropped that down. They're ripping us off. You know it. I know it. And anybody that ever had any rank in the military knows it. They're robbing us, man.
Oh, he got a good deal on the F-35s, too, because he was negotiating the Air Force One and then also threw in the F-35 thing, saying we got, I don't remember how much per plane him and the chick that's the CEO of the company that makes them negotiated in the White House or whatever the fun, I don't know what, but you know, I'm happy to see that we got a great deal on the F-35s and all this stuff. Now everybody wants to bitch about the so-called software upgrades and all that, but I think that's kind of old news. People just got sour grapes about it.
Yeah.
The last thing is, remember that a land-based ICBM has a flight time from launch to target of 33 minutes. A submarine-launched one, if it's off your coast, is about 15. And the reason I bring that up is going back to what these crazy bastard Democrats and rhino Republicans is, remember I mentioned a long time ago Bob Corker. He had his committee there because he told everybody he wanted to get the committee to do something to force the president to come to them first before he broke out the nuclear foot, the biscuit around his neck, and ordered the launch of thermonuclear weapons.
Let me tell you about Senator Corker, ladies and gentlemen. I've told you before, but I know we have new listeners every day. Senator Corker, Republican. Where the hell's he from anyway? Nebraska or I forget where he's from.
Arizona.
Arizona, that's right.
What do you want that? Him and Jeff Flake.
What this guy did during the Iranian negotiations that John Effingham Carey, who threw his medals over the fence of the White House, by the way, right before he went on Dick Cavett and said that the U.S. military was like Genghis Khan. But he didn't say Genghis Khan because he's too refined for that. He said Genghis Khan.
Yeah, I caught that. Yeah.
This guy, I lost my train of thought completely. But anyway, he's not somebody that you should be relying on. But Corker, that's what we were talking about. When they were going through these Iranian negotiations, Republican Senator Bob Corker flipped the whole Iranian vote upside down. It was supposed to be a treaty vote, which requires 2/3 of the Senate to ratify. But Bob Corker turned it around, and somehow Mitch McConnell allowed it to happen to where it took 2/3 of the Senate to turn it down. And then we got the Iranian deal and Corker retired. That guy should be hung in public. Bob Corker is a traitor. And that's just my opinion. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, Jack in the chat room just corrected me. Corker was Tennessee because what's her name, Blackwell or whatever, took his seat, and then
Marsha
Blake
Blackburn. Marsha Blackburn, who was on the show last week. You guys can check it out.
But anyway, that's pretty much all I got. We're still, manning up and everything in the South China, and China keeps trying to match us move for move. Thailand canceled the deal they had going to build another trench up north to bypass the Malacca Straits, I guess, when the United States and India and everybody else, told them don't do that. And
right.
India was moving to block the Malacca Strait. And Pakistan's in China's back pocket.
You know it.
That's for the overland transportation route if they have to. All this has to do with shipping, bringing oil and that from the Middle East to China.
I mean, we have to keep that open. I mean, there are some things that we have to continue to do internationally with our Navy, but we can't do it with biofuel. Ralph, thanks for calling, man. I always appreciate your insight, sir.
All right, guys. Later.
All right. The internal polls, Sal, must be bad for Biden because he left his Delaware basement and headed to Michigan today. Biden, he got met by a whole bunch of Trump supporters. He openly supported NAFTA. This is the thing that kills me. He's coming to Pennsylvania and he's coming to Michigan just counting on people being stupid. I mean, he openly supported NAFTA, and he spoke at an event today in the Detroit suburb of Warren, and the reason that is so important is because Warren is the center of the military-industrial complex. That is where I went to school for 3 weeks on the M1A1 tank. It's where the headquarters of U.S. Army military power rests, and he went there to speak to them, and he'll reportedly propose a new policy aimed at tackling the offshoring that he created. This guy is the guy that pushed the jobs from Pennsylvania, Detroit, and our whole side of the country to the east. He's the guy that did it, Sal.
Yeah, and I'm sure his family was somehow involved.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been doing it for 40 years before his family was even there. I mean, he's been the guy, man. He's been the head guy, and these morons in the unions around here have supported him for 47 years. This is the first time that they're starting to buckle. They've supported their own demise. It's kind of like the Black Lives Matter people have supported their own demise by supporting people like John Lewis and all these people that they hold as immortal souls. They've been screwing themselves. I've never seen more people that will get out and support people that are killing themselves than what we have today. I just can't. I can't rationalize it.
Well, we have it right here in the city of Pittsburgh.
Sure, exactly. But you have a phenomenon that I've seen that I saw an article today that working people are supporting Trump, but white-collar people are supporting Biden. And that's why I can't wait until these thugs start marching down Amberson Avenue, start marching down Castleman's, go over to Shadyside, because those are the people that are supporting Biden. Go over there. All right, enough of that. I want to play one more clip. This is the most arrogant thing I've ever seen, Sal, and another example of a government official counting on his own people being stupid.
Donald Trump caused the COVID outbreak in New York. Donald Trump caused the COVID outbreak in New York.
In case you
that is
idiots
a
missed
fact. It's a fact that he admitted, and the CDC admitted, and Fauci admitted. The China virus, the China virus, the China virus. It was not the China virus.
No.
It was the European virus that came to New York.
Yeah, that's what happened.
They missed it. They missed it. The China virus went to Europe. It got on a plane. It went to Europe. They never even thought of the possibility. And then 3 million Europeans got on the plane and came to New York. And they brought the virus. January, they brought the virus. February, they brought the virus. March, they brought the virus. And in mid-March, the federal government does a travel ban from Europe. Mid-March. Too little, too late, Mr. President. He caused the COVID outbreak in New York. Donald Trump and his incompetent CDC and his incompetent NIH and his incompetent Department of Homeland Security.
Let me translate that real quick. If you live in New York, you are stupid as hell. That's what he just said. He just said that. He told you, if you live in New York, you're an idiot, and vote for me. Sal, the indignation is crazy to me.
It seems like actually he's trying to get more attention for himself. He's fell out of the spotlight. He used to have those daily briefings where he act like during the past several months where we act like the king and the emperor on the stage.
The media held him up. The media held him up like he was going to run against Donald Trump. This moron can't put two freaking thoughts together. He's dumber than his brother.
This reminds me of the creepy porn lawyer almost.
Yeah, exactly. Avenatti. That's exactly right, man.
And now this guy is just coming out, starting to say outrageous things, and could 2020 hindsight, it's always perfect. Could a ban been placed a little bit earlier? Yes, but of course, who would have gone crazy if we would have banned travel? They would. The left would have gone crazy. They went crazy when the China travel.
Let's break down the reality. Governor Cuomo murdered. Thomas Wolfe, governor of Pennsylvania, murdered many senior citizens by sending them without their permission to nursing homes where they knew this virus was prevalent and where they knew the patients were vulnerable. He did it, and he should hang for it. Wolf too, and in Michigan too. I mean, in Pennsylvania, Richard Devine, who thinks he's a woman, took his mother out of Pennsylvania nursing homes before they directed elderly people with symptoms of COVID. Not necessarily COVID exclusively, just symptoms. The same symptoms, by the way, of pneumonia and influenza, and sent them to die in nursing homes. That's the reality. And for him to come out after Herculean efforts by President Trump and his task force, they moved an entire naval vessel to the harbor in New York. This guy ought to be, tarred and feathered for not at least acknowledging they built the United States Army Corps. New York is such a parasite to our nation that we had to send the Army there to build a hospital because they weren't good enough to do it. Had to send a naval vessel there, just like in Los Angeles, because they're every bit the parasite that New York is. These places are dragging America down. They're not helping us. New York's over. So is Los Angeles. So is every major American city ruled by Democrats. They are over. Nobody's going there anymore. Nobody's coming back. New York's not coming back. Sal, it's a tragedy. It's not coming back. Nobody in their right mind is going to spend one nickel in Black Lives Matter New York. They're not going to do it. Would you?
No, and it goes to your point of not going to the city that you
never again.
Most of your life.
The city I love is dead to me because I'm in survival mode right now. That's where I'm at. I'm in survival mode. When I go out to dinner, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not taking my wife anywhere that I have to shoot a dude in his forehead to eat a dinner. Because I know that the district attorney in Pittsburgh is elected. And I know he will prosecute me way before he prosecutes these communists in the streets. So I'm in survival mode. And if you're not, you're nuts. That's my opinion. There's that.
Well, everyone, that's a strong opinion.
It's true, though. What can I say?
You can't. You have to look out for yourself and your family and the people that you love. You can't. Why would you put them in harm's way?
Right. I'm willing to defend. I'm willing to defend myself, but I have to ask myself: do I stand here and do I defend myself? And I have plenty means to defend myself. Let me tell you. Or do I think about it and say, what about the day after that? And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and this is not a commercial. This is just me saying, join the Concealed Carry of America. Join them. I think it's CCA. Because I got a lawyer on retainer right now, if this ever happens to me. But I know that my chances in the city of Pittsburgh, or even the county of Allegheny, because they're both run by leftists, that if I shoot somebody in this scenario right now, and it gets on CNN and all the rest of these anti-American Democrat platforms, I'm not really confident that Zappala, or whatever his damn name is that we have today, would defend me. I don't think he would. They'll defend the Muslim guy that said he's going to blow up Brashear High School. That's a local high school. But I don't know that he would defend me. So I have to think, do I go that route that I should go? I should defend my home with everything I have. Or do I go to Camp Vienna and watch the place burn down? I don't know what to do, man.
Well, and also, Hutch, you can also choose to spend your money where you know that it's, where your values are respected.
But I love this city. You know what I mean? I grew up here. This is my place.
I know, but you have to make it, obviously the choice has been made for you already.
It has, indeed. And I think, and my point is, I think it's been, we got another caller. Let's go to Valerie in Boca Raton. Hello, Valerie. Sorry. And okay, good. Sal.
That's all right. Hi, Hutch and Sal. I did a show with Roderick Streets last night about real estate chaos. That was our topic.
Okay.
And it's interesting to me, we had quite a disagreement about what you were just saying, that you don't want to go into the cities anymore. Nobody's going to want to live there anymore.
I'm not going to.
Right.
I'm done.
Real estate is sinking. This is how I feel. This is exactly how Bruce and I see it. This is how we feel. I'm going to just step out and say the younger generation, they're just saying, it'll be better in a couple of years.
Nope.
And everybody's going to run right back to the cities, and they're going to build their businesses back there again.
Not going to happen.
Start all over.
Not going to happen.
I don't think so either.
And
I
I'm going to tell you why.
Totally.
I'm going to tell you why. Here's the disconnect, because and I've been struggling with this with my black conservative brothers, and how to deal with this issue, and because I'm getting more and more partisan. I have to. I mean, I got a family. You know what I mean? And I'm watching this, And especially after I watched that couple in Pittsburgh, man. And I'm thinking, these poor people, man, they voted Democrat their whole damn life. I know they did. That's what people do around here. They did it. I don't care how much money they made. That's what they did. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this. And I think about, I listen to different shows like Rod's and others. And, I think that the long-term theme has always been that white people don't understand black people. And I lived a life where I lived with black people. You know what I mean? I understand that. I think, and I know, all the arguments that I hear about thug life, this, that, and the other, whatever. But I don't think that black people understand white people. Is the thing that I have in my mind. I don't think that they understand that they don't understand that we have given them so much leeway. And I'm guilty as hell of this over the years. I see things that are ridiculous and I let it go. And I continue to march and I still have friends and all that. But I don't think that they realize the line that has been crossed. And
well, to your point, Val and Hutch, is that companies realize now that their footprint can be reduced. They've proven that people now can work virtually. And what's the attraction to go downtown, to be downtown, to be at the center of wherever you need to be?
That's a good point, and that's
this was a big part of our argument last night, because he said, well, younger people, a lot of younger people today are choosing not to get married, not to have children for all sorts of reasons, but the attraction to go into the city, Roderick said, oh, it's the restaurants, it's the, all the excitement. I said, but that's not there anymore. I was talking mostly about New York, because I think there are larger cities that are more sprawling, and the possibility might exist to live in those cities, especially if wealthy people buy up all the cheap real estate right now.
It's over.
But over. That's what I think. I think it's just it's a line that says over, and we were arguing back and forth last night. So everybody's entitled to their opinion. I mean, men and women argue.
Here's the reality. Here's the reality.
Yeah.
Here's the reality. American cities without white people are Zimbabwe. American cities without people that fund them, the people that are in the inner city are not funding shit. If you want to go out there and you want to come in to a classy part of an American city and you're living the thug life, all right, go ahead. If people don't feel safe going there, no matter what color they are,
I agree.
If they don't feel safe going there, it's over. Mm-hmm. It's over. Mm-hmm. Nobody's coming back to New York. New York's dead. New York's the next Detroit. If you look at Detroit, all you have to do is go to Google and type in abandoned buildings Detroit. And you'll see what New York and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Seattle and Portland and all these cities are going to be by 2030. That's what they're going to be. No white people are going to, or let me rephrase that. Nobody with money that wants to live a peaceful, prosperous life is going to have anything to do with that shit. And I'm just saying that. That's a fact. So Write it down. That's what it is.
So I always value your opinion. And you just said a few minutes ago they're going to come burn your other home down. And, I just want to step out and say, well, so those of us that are racing out of the cities, out of the burbs even, and finding country places to hide out and have this peace and quiet, do you really think they're going to burn those down as well? They're going to find us all buried on farms and acreage? I know that happened in Africa.
I'll tell you what the next step is. And this is ugly and it sucks, and I wish I didn't have to say it. But if we had a little bit more historical knowledge in this country, we would look back to the last time this happened. And the last time this happened was with the Cherokees and the Comanches and the Seneca and everybody else that was taking our women and children and lighting them on fire and everything else. People will come together and we will deal with you. And it won't be under the liberal media's view or anything else. It'll be survival. We will survive. There's no question about that.
The revolution will not be televised.
No,
the revolution will be live.
And if you think anything else, you're wrong, man. I'm just telling you, because Sal could tell you, I love this city that I just denounced. They've ruined my city. And it took a long time, and Biden had a lot to do with it. And I just, that little visual that made it across the whole world of that woman and that man getting their drink taken off of their table that they paid for, and no police and no anybody, that is
sickening.
The death.
It's sickening.
It is sickening. It's absolutely sickening, and it's planned, and it's financed. I can't believe I went on this rant, man. I didn't.
No, I'm sorry. I can incite riot. But what I
you
would
just
like
did.
to say, I know. I'm very good at that. Ask Bruce. I'm a debater.
Make me tell the truth, damn it.
I did. I made you tell the truth. I just want to say, if anybody gets a chance to listen to my last night's show, I really did a lot of psychological tuning for that particular show on real estate chaos, and it very much has to do with exactly what you and I are talking about right now. So a lot of people don't know that on Spreaker is the Conservative Enclave, and that's the Tuesday night show that I do on the Social Lounge. I know
and it's a great show. It's a great show, and there's a couple different elements of it. They have the Black Round Table, and they have
that's Sunday night, yeah.
Something
and
on
Helen
Friday.
And Rod do a great show on Monday and Friday, but I do my own thing on Tuesday night, and it's very sociological and psychological, and I really get into all this stuff that's affecting people. And I'm sorry that I aggravated you.
No, don't be sorry. I mean, it was inside me. I'm glad you brought it out. I kind of, I said I'm reading this book, Rating American Presidents, and when you look at the lies that even people our age, Valerie, have been taught about our history, we really have to go back to our history. We really do.
Reminders. Yeah, we need reminders because you forget.
This is not, believe it or not, this is not the biggest crisis we've ever been in.
I know it.
We've been in horrible crises, and it's why I stressed earlier the divine intervention aspect of it. We're the last hope, man. This country is the last hope.
Absolutely.
And anybody who knows me or has been around me or listened to me knows I'm no racist, man. I'm about reality and truth, and I'm not even going to say it because they'll turn it back on me, but I have a lot of friends of different ethnicities. My first wife, the mother of my children, is a Puerto Rican woman. I'm talking about civilization. You're either freaking civilized or you're not. And if you're not civilized men need to deal with your ass. And these people that are out in the street, whether they be white college graduates or black thugs, need to be dealt with because they're not civilized. And they cannot coexist.
We need you guys to do that. We need you guys to do that because I have to say that women are getting very scared, very frightened of going out, of doing anything, and that's exactly what they want to accomplish.
Exactly.
The
You're
other
exactly
day,
right.
there was a guy opened up his sunroof on 95 down here in Florida, put a gun through the roof, and started shooting at cars on 95, the major highway. I mean, this is how crazy the world is getting. So do I want to drive on the roads? Absolutely not. I'm hunkering down in my house now because I'm scared.
I'm getting ready to buy a welder, man. I'm going to buy a welding machine, man. We go ahead and take care of that. I'll build a gun truck up here. But
it's a good idea.
I'll tell you, don't be afraid, man. I mean, and that's hard to say because I'm afraid.
I know.
And I'll admit it. You know what I mean? I watch that, and here's the bad part. Here's the really, really bad part. Sal, I know we're going late here. I apologize. I didn't plan this, but Valerie's such a great caller.
I didn't plan it either, but I just got worked up too.
When I go to eat with my wife, I have to make a decision. Do I want to? I don't like carrying a gun on myself, on my body. I don't like doing it. It's uncomfortable. I don't like doing it. And I wear suspenders. It's hard. But I can do it if I have to. But I have to make that decision. Is that what I want to do? Or am I going to evaluate the situation and the choices and say, you know what, guess what? I'm going to go eat where these people aren't.
Of course.
So that's what I've done. I've eliminated all of that cultural district bullshit they put on us about the city and say, nah, I'm going out to this diner because I know nothing's going to happen there. Because I know the guy behind the counter has a 12 gauge. You know what I mean? Good. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not. Screw you. Go poor and starve. I don't care. I'm not doing it anymore.
Makes no difference. And always face the door.
That's right, man. I put my back against the wall. You're damn right. You put your back against the wall and face the door. He's got it. He's got it right. And have your car keys in your right pocket. Know how to get out of there.
Totally.
I don't want to live like that, man. I don't.
No, we don't want to live like that. It's not fair. It's not okay.
No.
I mean, this is somehow it's gonna explode like a wake up from a nightmare.
Right.
It's just gonna happen.
You're
yeah.
right.
Well, I'm glad I got to call in, even though we got aggravated at the end of the show. I apologize.
No, don't apologize, man. I appreciate it. Now I can go to sleep, man. Thanks for calling.
All right.
Double lot. What's going on, brother? Get them dishes done, brother.
Oh, he's got them done. He did. All right. Take care, guys.
All right.
All right, you too, Val. Thank you.
All right, Sal, I appreciate you sticking in a little late. I didn't really think this was going to happen, but I thought that was a valuable call, sir.
Oh, yeah, it was good. But my pulse was like, I took my pulse during that call. So you guys, I was nice and calm at 56, and you guys were probably up at 80, 90.
Oh, no, I was, leading up to the show, there were some things I wanted to say, and I was holding them back because I didn't want to go there. I mean, it needed to happen, but I didn't really, I wanted to stress the military side of it. But Valerie really brought out some of my feelings that I have. And I would just ask you, man, do you have any, how are you feeling right now? I mean, you're a little insulated, but you have to come into town. I mean, it's...
I'm insulated, but right now I'm not fearful myself out here. You know where I'm at. I'm pretty outside of the urban center, and... I'm a few miles away from being very rural.
But you used to live dead in the middle of it, brother.
Yeah, but do I think about things? Do I like carrying a firearm on me? Of course not. That's the last thing I want to think about doing is taking that out and even considering using it. I mean, that's a last resort. It's a last resort.
But when you're there, when you're the guy and you are... Whether they like it or not, you're chaperoning your woman. It's on you. The security is on you.
It is on you. But for myself, I just realized that I'm frankly glad I'm not in that fray anymore and down there anymore. I don't know what I would be thinking or doing. I'd be very concerned about my real estate investment there because I would know that there's a potential for it to really crash at some point.
I mean, PBG Place. I don't know who's going to go ice skating there anymore with this environment. We got winter coming up. I mean, it's who's going to go to the games?
Well, no one's going to be going to the games.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, okay, that was a
no one's going to be going to the games. But think about that. They haven't even think about that possibility. And again, hopefully it doesn't happen. But think about the privilege of, the supposed, at least, illusion of privilege of being able to go to a Steelers game or going to any sporting event.
I asked Ward Miller the other night, and Ward Miller is more of a Steeler fan than you or I. And I'm a big Steeler fan, as you know, over the years. And he's never going to go to another game, and neither am I. They're over to me. I mean, they have these leftist Marxists, led by national people, but also by people like Peduto and Fitzgerald, have ruined a majestic American city. And it's sad, man. It's not sad. It's tragic. You know, I mean, I can't tell you how many games I've been to that were like landmarks of my life. You know what I mean?
Sure. And, you know, to me, sporting events and events like that are supposed to be your way of escaping.
Exactly. A rock concert, same way.
Right. Away from just, you know, hey, to get away from the life's things and enjoy a sport. And now it's going to be hard for me to stay away from watching football, but I don't know how much. I don't know how much I'm going to watch it. I don't know.
I'm not watching it anymore. I don't care. I mean, I have to take a stand, and that's a stand I'm taking. I hope, and I'm on record right here, I hope the Pittsburgh Pirates and I hope the Pittsburgh Steelers and to an extent the Pittsburgh Penguins are just as bad. I hope they all go bankrupt, man. I do. We'll see what happens after that. But that's the end of our evening show, and what a hell of a show it was. Sal, thank you for coming on. And your final comments, sir.
Final comments. I want to thank everyone who called in, everyone listening. And also, if you want to become a patron, that's just as important to keep the show going. Where can you reach me at? Reach me right here next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Everyone take care. God bless. Have a good rest of the week. Thank you.
Sal, I love that, man. I do. That's the most awesome exit that you could ever hear, man. He took social media and flushed it down the toilet. I love that. Check out the Facebook page, folks. Facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. Man, Ward sent me a screenshot. You wouldn't believe the tens of thousands of people that follow that. Facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. The email to the show, scrtv@live.com. Catch the podcast anywhere there's podcasts. If you go to Spreaker, it's under news/news commentary. We're like number 25, I think. Get the Cold War Radio app free in your app store, and YouTube has the show with captions. Don't forget to check out rsbn.bandcamp.com. That's Jacob Seals behind me. What a hell of a guy. He has great music. The American Dreamer is playing behind us right now. Stop by on Friday, talk to Mona earlier, and we will start having guests starting as early as Friday. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Don't miss the show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Really appreciate it. Didn't expect to go on that last rant, but hey, what are you going to do? I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. We'll be back on Friday night. Thank you, Sal. Thanks to everybody listening to the program. God bless.
virtue signal in my neighborhood. And I wear my face mask when I walk so I can make sure they all know I'm really smart.
Keep your distance.
While they're deceiving me, it cuts my immunity. TV's got control of me. I turn it on, they say.
But this is not over yet.
Don't trust the man with the orange skin, oh no.
It comes from China. There has to be some form of punishment.
Don't mess around with the CDC numbers. Oh no, I can't believe it. We gotta make him a billionaire, oh yeah.
And then the final solution, which is a year to 2 years off, is the vaccine.
I wear my face mask in my house so I can stop a symptomatic disease spread to myself. And I wear my face mask when I bike so I can placate all the Karens at the park. And now the WHO is deceiving me. Trade freedom for security. TV's got control of me. I turn it on, they say. Don't take it off till the vaccine's here, oh no. Get microchipped and go back to work, oh yeah. Oh no, I can't believe it. He's not just a nerd, he's like a doctor too, oh yeah. The contact tracer's knocking at my door, oh no. I'm just a number. I wear my face mask in the car. I wear my face mask when I walk. I wear my face mask in my bed. Said I wear my face mask when I eat. I wear my face mask when I sleep. I wear my face mask, I can't breathe.
Do you want to make more money detaining and interrogating innocent civilians? Sure, we all do. So stay tuned to learn more about how easy it is to join the federal government's newest and most sinister agency that is further eroding our freedoms. At NCTS, more than 10 million men, women, intersex, trans, otherkin, and two-spirit are hurriedly being recruited and trained to invade, detain, and quarantine anyone who has been exposed to a, quote, virus. Choose from any one of these courses. Rona test technician, hostage negotiation, disinfectant application operator, door breaching, jiu-jitsu, nursing, dog handling, non-lethal combat, child daycare, interior redecorating, computer programming, bookkeeping, light and heavy firearms, doctor, judge, jury, executioner. Compare your present salary/government handout to any one of these careers. But wait, there's more. There's no need to call us. A certified contact tracer will arrive at your door momentarily. Approach the door slowly, with your hands visible at all times. Identify yourself and answer any questions truthfully. If you are a potential candidate for indoctrination and desensitizing training, you will be remanded into the care of the contact tracer and local police immediately. Act now. We have your entire home surrounded.
Don Bassini, I want to thank you for helping me organize this meeting here today. And also the other heads of the 5 families from New York and New Jersey. Carmine Cuneo from the Bronx and Brooklyn, Philip Tatali. From Staten Island, we have with us Victor Starkey and all the other associates that came as far as from California, Kansas City, and all the other territories of the country. Thank you. How did things ever get so far? I don't know. It was so unfortunate, so unnecessary. Talia lost a son. I lost a son. We're quits. And if Talia agrees, then I'm willing to let things go on the way they were before.
We are all grateful to Don Corleone for calling this meeting. We all know him as a man of his word. A modest man. He'll always listen to reason.
Yes, Don Barzini. He's too modest. He had all the judges and politicians in his pocket. He refused to share them.
When did I ever refuse an accommodation? All of you know me here. When did I ever refuse? Except one time. And why? Because I believe this drug business is going to destroy us in the years to come. I mean, it's not like gambling or liquor or even women, which is something that most people want nowadays and is forbidden to them by the bits and avanti of the church. Even the police departments that have helped us in the past with gambling and other things are going to refuse to help us when it comes to narcotics. And I believed that then, and I believe that now.
Times have changed. It's not like the old days where we can do anything we want. A refusal is not the act of a friend. If Don Corleone had all the judges and the politicians in New York, then he must share them. All he loved is use them. He must let us draw the water from the well. Certainly he can present a bill for such services. After all, we are not communists.
I also don't believe in drugs. For years, I paid my people extra so they wouldn't do that kind of business. Somebody comes to them and says, I have powders. If you put up $3,000, $4,000 investment, we can make $50,000 distributing. So they can't resist. I want to control it as a business, to keep it respectable. I don't want it near schools. I don't want it sold to children. That's an infamia. In my city, we would keep the traffic in the dark, people to call it. They're animals anyway, so let them lose their souls.
I hope that we could come here and reason together. And as a reasonable man, I'm willing to do whatever's necessary to find a peaceful solution to these problems.
Then we are agreed. The traffic in drugs will be permitted, but controlled. And Don Corleone will give her protection in the East, and there will be the peace.
But I must have strict assurance from Corleone. As time goes by and his position becomes stronger, will he attempt any individual vendetta?
Look, we are all reasonable men here. We don't have to give assurances as if we were lawyers.
You talk about vengeance. Is vengeance going to bring your son back to you? Or my boy to me? I forgo the vengeance of my son. But I have selfish reasons. My younger son was forced to leave this country because of this Salazzo business. All right, I have to make arrangements to bring him back here safely, cleared of all these false charges. But I'm a superstitious man. And if some unlucky accident should befall him, if he should get shot in the head by a police officer, or if he should hang himself in his jail cell, or if he's struck by a bolt of lightning, then I'm going to blame some of the people in this room. And that I do not forgive. But that aside, let me say that I swear on the souls of my grandchildren that I will not be the one to break the peace we've made here today.
When I meet with the Tatalia people, should I insist that all these drug middlemen have clean records?
Mention it. Don't insist. Bazzini's the man who'll know that without being told.
You mean Tatalia?
Tatalia's a pimp. He never could have outfought Santino. But I didn't know until this day that it was Bazzini all along.
it's restless. The bombs busting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray in the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight here and there. The name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. This land of the brave. The U.S. of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free in the
Thank you. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.